Human life does not begin at this moment, but 9 months before. From the very moment of conception, this child has been a living and a growing thing. And it is these 9 months in the womb that have determined more than anything else what will be the quality of this life. Before this day is out, in the British Isles alone, another 5 spastics will have been born, another 10 of the mentally retarded, and another 38 of the newly born will be dead. These figures are directly related to the period of intrauterine life, and the question arises, what is being done to reduce or abolish them by improving the conditions of pregnancy? A team of South African doctors is at present working on a revolutionary concept with this object in view. One of the team explains.
This is a seed. It is a good seed, a bad seed, or a mediocre one. That depends on its parents. But the sort of plant into which it will grow depends on something else. The sort of soil on which it will fall, the water it will get, the fertilizer. Now, there is every reason to suppose that the same applies to growing human seed. Here is the womb, or uterus. Here, a fallopian tube. Here, an ovary, from which the ovum has come. Here we see the male sperm making its way up to the ovum. When it penetrates the ovum, a new life has begun. The fertilized ovum rolls on, sticks to the surface, penetrates it, and is now in what we might call the soil. It sends out roots. It grows a little trunk, the umbilical cord, which now supplies the main part of the plant, which we come to recognize as the growing baby. Let us now take a closer look at this area here, the baby's root system. The roots have invaded the maternal soil so that a sort of pond of maternal blood has come to surround them. As you probably know, the mother and the baby do not share the same blood. The baby's circulation is in his body and flows to and from these roots through the cord. The mother's blood merely bathes the roots, which draw up the oxygen and nutriment the baby needs. The mother's blood enters this pond or intervillous space through these tiny twisting vessels called spiral arterioles. It then flows slowly round the root system and leaves by these larger vessels or venous sinuses. If this pond becomes stagnant and poor in nutritive content, this little plant cannot grow well. The thing about which we are most worried is the oxygen supply. All the baby's cells require oxygen to grow well. Unfortunately, those cells which are most susceptible to oxygen lack are the nerve cells, the cells of which the brain is chiefly composed. Upon these cells depends not only the future intelligence of the child, but the pattern and quality of his total development. We know that oxygen shortage does occur. Sometimes we have to do cesarean operations to save the life of the child. Lesser degrees of oxygen lack also occur, and we think of cerebral palsy in these spastic children. In fact, each one of us may have been affected to some degree. Now, why should oxygen shortage occur? Well, the mother's blood is oxygenated in her lungs from the air she breathes. Now, by the time this blood has reached the womb, it has lost some of its oxygen. But much more important than this is the slowing which occurs as the blood enters and flows through the placental pond. Oxygen deficiency is most likely to occur in the last 2 months of pregnancy, because it is at this time that the placenta stops growing, whereas the baby has yet to double its size. Added to this, the placenta now shows degenerative changes which make it like an old man before the baby is even born. Now, it may be that with the evolution of a larger and larger human brain, that man has outstripped the supplying capacity of his spiral arterioles. In any event, the spiral arterioles often become clogged or even blocked by the sedimentation of minute particles in the mother's blood. At the moment, little has been done about the problem of oxygen lack to the growing baby. An effort is made to keep the mother healthy, but that's not the same thing. But now, in South Africa, under the leadership of Professor O.S. Heyns, we have a new idea.
A vacuum pump extracts air through a pipe from a chamber surrounding the trunk of the expectant mother. Although the chamber only covers the mother's abdomen, she is enclosed in a plastic suit in order to make the whole thing airtight. By means of a simple valve, the patient is reducing pressure inside the chamber. She removes her thumb from the valve and the pressure returns to normal. The process is quite painless, and the mothers like it because it helps them to feel relaxed. The whole device is the Heyns decompression apparatus, and this is the first occasion on which this mother-to-be has tried it. The tunnel over the abdomen is of fiberglass. It fits into grooves down the sides of a fiberglass backing plate on which the patient is sitting. Over 5,000 women have used decompression and have shown it to be completely safe and free from any ill effect.
This diagram is an approximation of the mother's circulation system. Here, the oxygenated blood comes from her lungs to the heart, there to be pumped to the head, the arms, the legs, and here to the womb. Now, if we can reduce pressure here in this area, as we can with the decompression apparatus, then more blood will flow to this area of low pressure from these other areas. And immediately, the spiral arterioles will be flushed out and the placenta will become filled with fresh, oxygenated blood. If we allow the pressure in the decompression apparatus to return to normal now, the extra blood in the placental pond, from which the baby has now removed the oxygen, can flow quickly away. And the placenta comes in effect to resemble an elementary second heart. Now, if the mother uses the decompression apparatus at home for half an hour every day during the last 2 months of pregnancy, we believe that apart from other possibly beneficial effects, she will be able to keep the spiral arterioles open and free to deliver their maximum quantity of fresh, oxygenated blood. Decompression is used in labor, too. Here is a woman who came into hospital a short while ago to have her baby. She is now in the first stage of labor, and with the contractions which occur every few minutes, she feels pain. In a few moments, she will be placed in the decompression apparatus and instructed how to use it. Round you, that your feet are helped to her. You take it and close off the valve with your thumb. You see? You hold. Now just try it once to reduce. I'll tell you what happens. You see it squeezes like that? Now that, we think it takes the pain. A little bit reduced. Was that good? Yes. We have followed the idea that if we can assist nature during pregnancy, we should get better babies with better brain cells. Now, during labor, our concern is to ensure that these cells shall not be destroyed or damaged. During the contractions of labor, the pressures within the womb, the squeezing pressure on the baby, often rises so much that the oxygen supply may be interfered with. Brain cells are so sensitive to lack of oxygen that complete deprivation for only 4 minutes will destroy them, and they never grow again. And unfortunately, those cells which are destroyed first are the ones in which highest intelligence lies. On the other hand, if the woman uses the decompression apparatus during labor, we have shown that she can keep the pressure within the womb almost at 0. So the danger of excessive pressure is at once removed. Here is the baby within the womb, the cervix or opening in which is beginning to dilate. Here is the mother's backbone, here the pubic bone, here the powerful rectus muscles of the abdominal wall in front. Now, when the uterus contracts, it becomes more spherical in shape. Therefore, its antero-posterior diameter increases. It therefore comes up against the rectus muscles. These act like a powerful corset, particularly if the patient is apprehensive or tense. They resist the change of shape of the uterus, so tending to tire it, because it now has to do unnecessary work in pushing the rectus muscles away. The womb is also kinked back here, and the baby, instead of lying in a favorable position for expulsion, tends to be driven against the pubic bone. Pain is also caused by spasm of the rectus muscles, like a cramp. If the patient uses the decompression apparatus during contractions, the abdominal wall containing the rectus muscles is sucked up and out of the way of the uterus, which can now act unimpeded. Pain is relieved, and the total force of the contraction can be employed in speeding dilatation of the womb, instead of being partly dissipated in pushing against resistant muscles. Note how the baby is now in a far more favorable position for easy expulsion. The process of labor is divided into 3 stages. The long first stage, during which contractions occurring for a few seconds every few minutes slowly dilate the opening in the womb until it is large enough for the baby to pass through into the birth canal. This marks the commencement of the second stage, which should not last longer than half an hour. Here, the contractions, aided by the expulsive efforts of the mother, begin to push the baby out into the world. The third stage is merely the time it takes the placenta to follow the baby. At this moment, she is being helped out of the apparatus and onto the bed by the sister, because the second stage has begun. She does not need decompression in the second stage because A, the second stage is relatively short. B, because the opening in the womb is now fully open, we can get the baby out quickly, if necessary, in an emergency. It's your little girl.
Oh, nothing. Oh.
It's not the little girl.
Baby, all right.
Absolutely beautiful.
Oh.
Now look.
Oh, lovely.
Look at that.
Oh, lovely.
Isn't it a beautiful baby?
Oh, lovely. Oh.
Oh, my. It's a bit moist.
Oh, thank God. Oh. Oh. Oh, you're going to call her. Nora. Hmm? Nora. You should tell me that.
Several hundred babies born by decompression have been tested and have proved themselves superior in every way to those on whose mothers the method was not used. And there has been no case of cerebral palsy in thousands of babies. Whether decompression is the whole or final answer, only the future can tell. But one thing is certain. The answer is long overdue, that will overcome the deficiencies of intrauterine life and their tragic results.